Hello again, and welcome to the Student Housing Matters podcast. We are continuing to celebrate the 20th anniversary of COCM, and today it is my distinct pleasure to have Dr. Amy Lorenz, who was formerly a COCM student housing professional for many years, and now is the Director of Residence Life at the University of North Florida. Amy, welcome.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So Amy, let's begin our conversation today with you telling our listeners the story of how you came to COCM and what roles you served while you were with us.
Sure. I worked at Marshall University for several years, and Capstone COCM has a presence on campus there with the first year residence halls. And so my journey with COCM was working with them as campus partners. I worked with oversight of all the academic initiatives and living learning communities at Marshall, and several of those were in the first year residence halls. So that's how I built that initial connection to peers at COCM. During my time there, I was ready to take the next step in my professional journey, and I specifically wanted to stretch myself in learning about facilities and operations. The bulk of my student affairs work had been in residence life and or academic affairs as an advisor and in honors programs. And so I was able to have the opportunity to interview and then successfully became the general manager and then director of operations and facilities for COCM's campus at Bowling Green State University, where I worked for a number of years. So that place has 1,400 beds, apartment community, big camps and conferences operation. And so I learned a lot there. Learned lots about HVAC, elevators, maintenance, custodial, really enjoyed my time there. Fantastic campus partners. And so that's how my journey started with COCM and what I ended up doing. And as part of my time too, I got involved in the wellness committee. I was the social wellness chair. And so that meant leading things like our fantasy football competitions, but also doing things like getting involved in hosting the Great American Smokeout. So we did a really big tobacco prevention and awareness campaign. So I got to kind of dabble into other areas of wellness. And what I really enjoyed about that experience with COCM is that I got to work with COCM employees at multiple campuses across the nation.
Yeah, I know you're very interested in wellness and exercise and keeping fit. I mean, is there any particular reason why you enjoy getting involved with those programs? I mean, I know you already are very interested in that, but any other reason?
Sure. So I think just in general, I've always been somebody that likes being involved in lots of things. I grew up running through high school, being involved in music and all of that. So for me, part of it is just an extension of who I am and how I'm built. Part of the reason for my involvement with COCM was to branch across the different campuses. So the social wellness committee gave me a chance to chat with other folks and build those friendships. Oftentimes, COCM's teams might be smaller at some campuses, and so it was a way to learn more. For me, too, it's about providing a good example to our daughters. My husband and I have an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. I had to think about that for a minute. But trying to model the way of being well and healthy in all the different ways that you do those things.
Well, what interesting stories do you have about working with the folks at COCM?
Sure. So one of my favorite traditions when I was at Bowling Green State University was our winter break holiday party. We would do a big turkey dinner, holiday dinner for the team there. And it just was a moment to pause and stop for a few hours and cook and enjoy time with one another. Our team worked really, really hard, especially during those summer operations, but all year long too. And so winter was one of those rare moments where we had extra time and could really step back and enjoy that time together. We may or may not have fried a turkey. And I'm not entirely sure whether or not it met all different fire codes and things like that. Somebody can tell me that later on.
Nothing burned down though, right?
Nothing burned down. So we had a really, really great time with that. I also was involved in the women's leadership initiatives. And so as part of that, I went to the Women's Leadership Institute. Why that really sticks out as a memory for me is I ended up rooming with Kelly Podak Francis, who's a COCM team member. And we had not known each other very well beforehand. And we developed this really long ongoing friendship with one another. And so part of why that really sticks out to me is Sometimes as a director at a campus, you may or may not have all those outlets it really like right within your scope or where you are on your campus. And so it was really helpful for me to have a friend, another woman director that I got to build as a friend and also a colleague and somebody to commiserate with or problem solve with. And then the other thing I would share, another highlight, is actually a trip I took with you, Alton, and with Doug to NACIS to be able to share COCM and market that with different individuals from campuses across the country. It opened my eyes to the big picture of the work that we do. There's so many different groups that are there at that conference. So from Dunkin' Donuts, which we all know is my favorite, to dining services, to bookstores. I really learned a lot about what it means to work in a campus auxiliary, which was, again, kind of a stretch for me from my normal working functions.
Well, I'm glad you had a positive experience in going to the conference. You really were a welcome addition. You did a great job. So talk a little bit about where your career has gone since you've left COCM. I mean, obviously you didn't start at University of North Florida. You've had several other positions, right?
Yeah, so from COCM, I did go straight to University of North Florida. Another connection point here, a COCM employee, a staff member, came to University of North Florida. She'd worked for COCM and also UNF in the past. And she knew that I was specifically looking to go back into residence life because that's really my functional area at home. And UNF, University of North Florida, was specifically looking for somebody with that skill set with living, learning communities and residential curriculum. So I started here as the Associate Director of Housing and Residence Life, wearing a lot of different hats, some of which were still operational. I oversaw camps and conferences, keys, welcome desks, things of that nature, which really was kind of a natural segue from my previous role. But then I also oversaw half of our residence life team, living, learning communities, and some of those other educational initiatives. And then within the last few months was promoted to Director of Residence Life, which is a new role here. Our campus.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Our campus is growing a lot. And what I've been really excited about is that the campus is being proactive, both with this role, but with also expanding our team to proactively plan for that larger campus population before we get there, right? So that's a lot of what my role looks like right now.
Well, I apologize. For some reason, I thought you had gone to another campus before you went to University of Florida. I guess you've had several different roles there. Mm-hmm. So congratulations on your newest role there.
Thank you.
Amy, we've been friends on Instagram for a long time, and I am just absolutely amazed at your energy level. I don't know of any person on this earth that can read more, exercise more, do more things with your daughters, your family. How in the world do you have the energy that you have?
So again, some of it's just how I'm built. I've always been a busybody. I think some people are naturally kind of built that way, and I'm one of those people. I will say that some of it is multitasking in a good way. Like I love to listen to audiobooks while I work out or while I drive. So in case anybody wants to know the secret to being able to read as much as I do, it's the commuting to my girls' practices and to work and things of that nature. Running brings me joy. That's why I continue to do that. And I run with my friends. So I kind of get to do both and I get my social time and my running time. But I would say the other part of it is just knowing that working in housing and residence life, whatever functional area, can be a lot. And so I know for me, and then my advice to others is making sure you've got those outlets that allow you to kind of get out of work, get out of that zone, and have some time to yourself too.
So what do you enjoy the most about the University of North Florida? What's the culture like there, and what do you enjoy the most about that?
I like the size of the campus. There's a lot of different things I like. It's a mid-sized institution. And so what that means is the campus is not so large that students, faculty, or staff get lost. Oftentimes I see students I know and our student staff around campus. We're on a nature preserve. So in terms of the campus life, that's beautiful. We have nature trails, a ropes course, all of that. And the other thing I would share is our campus population. We have a really large population of first-generation college students. I think we're at 36% of our students are first-generation college students, and I was a first-gen student too. So not only do I identify with them, but there's also a lot of opportunity to help shape their journey. Actually, the one other thing too is that it's because the campus is not super old, we have a lot of room to be innovate and kind of be nimble. So as things have changed, kind of post-pandemic and with young adults and their developmental journeys, we've been able to be creative and not feel stuck in traditions. And so I think that's a really cool part of our culture here too.
So in closing, any recommendations or any advice you would give to new COCM employees?
I would say get involved, whether that's the wellness committee or some other avenue for getting involved with COCM. What's great about that, as I shared earlier from my own journey, is that you do get a chance to get to know people at different campuses. And sometimes just having that buddy who is maybe an office manager, a director, whatever the role might be, having somebody at a different campus can help broaden your horizon. You get a new friend out of it, all that jazz. So that would be one. I think the other thing is, as anybody hopefully would do, advocating for yourself and for your team's needs. COCM is receptive to hearing from their team. And so I would also advise that you speak up if there's something that you need or have feedback on. Most people are really willing to listen and work with you and help create something better too.
Well, Amy, it's just been a pleasure to speak with you, and your energy and your excitement is contagious. I'm sure you're doing a fantastic job in your new position there at University of North Florida. And I just wish you all the best. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.